you guys ready? Shh.
I think someone wants to stop talking.
Yeah. All right. Hi. Welcome to the 9th rendition of White Noise, a series of open mics that is co-hosted by me, Summer, Melissa, and Robyn. Very happy to be here. Yeah, let's kick it off.
How's that, Dave? Hello, Kingston. Okay, here's an original song about being picked on in high school. December 7th, 1984. Albert Sonnen punched me in the balls. He was standing behind me in line at the grocery store. I had bought the last candy bar. He wanted it more, and he punched me in the balls. He punched me in the balls. Call me Ishmael. One day I'll get my revenge. He stood above me as I writhed around the floor. He said, stay down unless you want some more. And the thoughts that arose in my mind to this day still remain. Retribution is the cloth that I'll use to clean up that red stain, and I'll punch him in the balls. I'll punch him in the balls. Ahab chased the whale. One day I'll get my revenge. An eye for an eye makes the bad guys blind. An eye for an eye makes the bad guys blind. Every high school has a bully in the yard. They'll find your weakness, leave you hurt and scarred. There is only so long they can keep us all down on the floor. And the healing, it really begins when we even the score. And we'll punch them in the balls. We'll punch them in the balls. Ahab chased the whale. One day we'll get our revenge. An eye for an eye makes the bad guys blind. An eye for an eye makes the bad guys blind. Ahab chased the whale. One day we'll get our revenge. Thank you. Yeah.
Punch him in the balls!
Yeah. the clouds away. I'm on my way to where the air is sweet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Motherfucking Sesame Street. Come and play, everything's A-okay. Friendly neighbors, and that's where we'll meet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Motherfucking Sesame Street. It's a magic carpet ride. Every door will open wide to happy people like you. Happy people like. What a beautiful sunny day, sweeping the clouds away. On my way to where the air is sweet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Motherfucking Sesame Street. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Yeah.
Hi, our next performer is Random Hero.
Hello, neighbors. My name is Random Hero. I'm the first of a new species of Homo sapiens that have subsumed them. We are called Homo Narrative, and my story is called The Center of a Sphere. I'm a superhero by trade, but I am also, as we all are, a philosopher. Now I would like to tell you how I found myself to be at the center of a sphere. A sphere is a three-dimensional circle, and like a circle, it is a shape where all points on the boundary of the sphere are equidistant from the center. If a sphere has a radius of 1 inch, then every point on the boundary of the sphere is 1 inch from its center. I use the number 1 because it is simple, but there are many numbers that are more complicated. An irrational number is a number that cannot be represented as a ratio of 2 integers. There is an enormous amount of these irrational numbers, the most prominent examples being pi and e. These irrational numbers are very strange. The ancient Pythagoreans thought irrational numbers were an affront to God's perfection and kept their existence a closely guarded secret. I have a book called Pi to a Million Places, which is where pi is written out to 1 million decimal places, and even that is not an exact definition of what pi is. Pi, coincidentally, is used in formulas to calculate information about circles and spheres. There are also complex numbers that are used in calculus, but I have limited experience with these. All this to say that a number can be defined in many ways and may not always refer to a specific quantity. This is important because it allows for complex definitions of quantities, such as the shortest possible distance between 2 points, to be used in calculations. It all starts to get pretty abstract at this point. When a formula or an algorithm is written out, it is only a tool. It has no inherent meaning without context. The shortest possible distance between 2 points is meaningless without knowing where these 2 points are. If we go back to our example of the sphere, the 2 points would be the center point and any point on the boundary of the sphere. We already defined that distance as 1 for this example, but what if we abstract the number 1 and just call it r for radius? Now that we are calling it r instead of 1, the measurement can be whatever we want it to be. Under these abstract rules of measurement, I can try and reapply the formula contextually to myself. My perception is the center point of my experience. My senses take in the world around me and send electrical signals through my nervous system to my brain, where these signals get processed. Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch all get processed into sensations and imagery that I experience as my reality. There's no particular center point in the human body. A person's center of gravity shifts consistently depending on the position of the person in question. Perception, however, can be localized to the brain. The brain also has no center point. It is a mesh of interconnected pathways formulated by personal experience and habituation. The mind is inexorably linked to the brain, but is not contained within the brain. The mind exists in concert with the brain and body, and the mind is where I place my center point. When I look around, I can judge distance, shapes, colors, etc., and from that judgment, I can build up the world around me. Everything that I can see is at its closest point to me, otherwise it would be obscured, with the exception of looking through glass or other transparent properties. If everything is at its closest point to me, then everything I see is the same distance away, in that everything is at its closest point to me. Now, in conclusion, going back to the sphere, if every point I can see is at its nearest point to me, and we define r, the radius of the sphere, as the closest possible distance between 2 points, and we define my mind as the center point of my experience, then I must be at the center of a sphere. Thank you for listening.
Hi. Thank you, Random Hero. It's a tough act to beat, I will say. I've been dabbling in fixed verse poetry, and I brought to you guys some sestinas, a couple of sestinas today. And I don't know, I don't like assuming ignorance, and I don't like assuming knowledge, so I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about the sestina form, and then I'll read them to you. So it's a kind of fixed form poetry that's comprised of six line stanzas or sextets that finish with a 3-line envoy. It doesn't use a rhyme scheme. Rather, it's structured through lexical repetition of end-line words, which build to form a kind of structure or pattern. So my first sestina for you today is called Cycles. I still don't know what to make of the body that leaves, nor can I rebuild the castle forged of bone. Like a tree growing out of budding earth is the house of wood, yet blood and decades separate the house and the home. I marinate my words in a brine of tears as I search out a voice on spring wind that never asks me to forgive. And how can you ask the scarred body to forgive the callousness of the thing that leaves when in flesh there are still splintering tears and shimmering shards of broken bone? How can forgiveness reconstitute a stolen home if the mouth never asks and the heart is wood? I fell in love with a body made of wood, in whose beams I pounded my longing to forgive, and for 7 summers I wrought my home, from whose rafters I looked out at shimmering leaves that convinced me that I was made of sap and bark, but I am a child of bone. For house and tree can weather years, but my flesh is wrought of rips and tears. I watch as my bowl fills up with tears, and I sit in a memory house of crumbling wood. My body is a cage of fire and bone that hawk-like circles round, wondering how to forgive. What did the walls think of my becoming a thing that leaves? What did the trees say when I abandoned my home? In the cellar of the earth I found a home, whose rooms I filled with briny tears, and through windows of water I watched autumn leaves that emblazoned and burned within the October wood. Is it possible to ask a house to forgive the weaknesses wrought by a cage of bone? From my rage I craft a sword of bone, forged in fires of memory, fed on the beams of my stolen home. I have long since lost the language necessary to forgive, which fell from my eyes in sparkling tears. When I walked away from the snow-covered wood, the wind whipped up a fugal dirge in the shivering leaves. How can you forgive the one that leaves and takes with them the home of wrought wood? Within my home of bone, I am a body of tears. Thank you. Thanks. My next sestina is called Elemental. My breath falls out in wreaths of flames that blend with the burning sunset and leave ripples, obsidian glass across the earth. I remember when I was made of water, but I lost myself when you stole my reason, scattering it like so many leaves on the April wind. Life has taught me that words are wind, and yet the wind too can scorch like flames. I devoted my life to giving you a reason that could imprint on your mind, ripples to snake and spiral round your placid water, but your mind was a fort of salt and earth. I was a nymph of stone and earth. I cast off with wings of twigs to catch the wind. I had neither the mobility of water nor the quickness of flames, yet in the sky I moved briefly the way a cloud ripples. Like Icarus, I forgot reason. How many years did I try to give you a reason to love this body of stone and earth, but words skipped lazily across you, leaving ripples that disintegrated and dispersed on the wind. So I became a body of flames with an evaporating heart of steam and water. I sink like rocks in your murky mind of water, prisoner of your ignorance and flawed reason. Years roll in like waves to staunch my flames, and one day I will return to my bed of earth, but today I have wings of keening wind, and my mind, in my mind, your malice still ripples. So I am left with empty ripples, slipping away like unseen smiles on the water, and deeper into myself I wind, into the dark where I have no reason to recall the spellbound years I spent as earth. Now I am only the darkling chill beneath the flames. Of wind you cast shackles, defying all reason, that trapped me deep beneath water and earth. And though I saw the ripples I made in you myself, I was cast out into the flames. Thanks.
Hi guys, I'm Melissa, or Moral. I'm gonna be straight up with all of you, my friends, my family, my peers. I have nothing to read. I spent the whole week writing things that are very personal, and I'm not ready to share with anybody, but I was thinking, as everyone was sharing, about the things that inspire me, and I'm gonna read something that really inspired me a few years ago. And it's called You Ask Me for a Hamburger. I don't really know what it is, but I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. You ask me for a hamburger. Can we make that a unit of measurement? 1 cule equals 1 level of abstraction away from the reality of a situation. Example, you ask me for a hamburger. At 1 cule, if you asked me for a hamburger and I gave you a raccoon. 2 cules is if you asked me for a hamburger and it turns out I don't really exist. Where I was originally standing, a picture of a hamburger rests on the ground. At 3 cules, you wake up as a hamburger. You start screaming only to have special sauce fly from your lips. The world is in sepia. At 4 cules, why are we speaking German? A mime cries softly as he cradles a young cow. Your grandfather stares at you as the cow falls apart into patties. You look down only to see me with pickles for eyes. I am singing the song that gives birth to the universe, and so on. Other cule levels added for completeness. 5 cules is you ask me for a hamburger and I give you a hamburger. You raise it to your lips and you take a bite. Your eye twitches involuntarily. Across the street, a father of 3 falls down the stairs. You swallow and look at your hamburger in your hands. I give you a hamburger. You swallow and you look down at the hamburger in your hands. You cannot swallow. There are children at the top of the stairs. A pickle shifts uneasily under the bun. I give you a hamburger. You look at my face and I am pleading with you. Children are crying. You raise the hamburger to your lips. Tears stream down your face as you take a bite. I give you a hamburger. You're on your knees. You plead with me to go across the street. I hear only children's laughter. I give you a hamburger. You are screaming as you fall down the stairs. I am your child. You cannot see anything. You take a bite of the hamburger. The concrete rushes up to meet you. You awake with a start in your own bed. Your eyes twitch involuntarily. I give you a hamburger. As you kill me, I do not make a sound. I give you a hamburger. At 6 cules, You ask me for a hamburger. My attempt to reciprocate is cut brutally short as the body experiences a sudden lack of electrons. Across a variety of hidden dimensions, you are dismayed. John Lennon hands me an apple, but it slips through my fingers. I am reborn, an ocelot. You disapprove. A crack echoes through the universe in defiance of conventional physics as cosmological background noise shifts from randomness to a perfect A-flat. Children everywhere stop what they are doing and hum along in perfect pitch with the background radiation. Birds fall from sky as sun engulfs earth. You hesitate momentarily before allowing yourself to assume the locus of all knowledge. Entropy crumbles as you pursue the information contained within the universe. A small library in Phoenix ceases to exist. You stumble under the weight of everythingness. Your mouth opens up to cry out and collapses around your body before blinking you out of spatial plane. You exist only within the fourth dimension. The fountainhead of all knowledge rolls along the ground and collides with a small dog. My head tastes sideways as space-time is reestablished. You blink back into corporeal world, disoriented, only for me to hand you a hamburger, as my body collapses under the strain of reconstitution. The universe has reasserted itself. A particular small dog is fed steak for the rest of its natural life. You die in a freak accident moments later, and your soul works the returns desk at the Phoenix Library. You disapprove. Your disapproval sends ripples through the interdimensional void between life and death. A small child begins to cry as he walks towards the stairway where his father stands. That's one thing I'm going to read. I read that when I was in 9th grade, and I really liked it. Now I'm 28 in the winter of my life. I'm going to tell a joke. I have a joke I really, really like. I tell it at parties, and nobody likes it. So I'm going to keep you guys hostage right now and tell this joke. It's my favorite joke. Once upon a time, there's an archaeologist, a great archaeologist named Jake. And as such, when you're a great archaeologist, you're called on to do the jobs that not everybody wants to do. But on the other hand, sometimes you're called to do the job that everybody wants. And that was Jake's duality that he lived between. He is called upon by some institution in some country foreign to him, and they say, we have exhumed a tomb. It's in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and you need to come and answer some questions, help us navigate this find. Jake, without thinking, says yes. He doesn't know which side of this dual coin this is on. Is this a good job? Is it a bad job? He doesn't know it's going to change his life. So flies 2 connecting flights, gets to the Sahara Desert, and he rents a Jeep Wrangler. It's a 1995 Jeep Wrangler, which is like so sexy. And it's cat yellow, which is not his favorite color, but it's only a rental. He doesn't feel committed to this. He hops in the vehicle and he sets out on his quest. And he's driving down a long, narrow road, seemingly endless, ending at the horizon, and he's going. And what do you do when you're on a long, narrow road endlessly? You're going faster and faster. You know, it's like driving in Texas. At first you're going 60, 70. After a while, you're going 110 miles an hour, and it feels like you're going 30. Jake does not notice that there's a sand dune in front of him. So, of course, Jake hits this sand dune, and the Jeep careens out of control, flips multiple times, and he pulls himself from the wreckage. And when he does a panorama of his surroundings, he's horrified to realize there's no civilization on the horizon. He has to make a choice. He picks a direction. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He picks mo, south. We'll call that south. And he looks in his Jeep for provisions, and he finds 2 bottles of water and 1 bottle of antifreeze. Jake takes all 3 bottles with him, figuring once he's out of his water, instead of dying under the conditions of the desert, he can drink that antifreeze. A choice nobody should have to make, but he's already thought ahead. Jake, on this first day of his trek, he's heading south, and he drinks the first bottle of water. On the second day, he drinks half of the second bottle of water. On the third day, he finishes all of his water. On the fourth, he goes with none. And on the 5th, he decides to drink that bottle of antifreeze. If you know anything about antifreeze, you know that it is most parts water, and it's a slow killer. So he is being poisoned from the inside out, and he is dragging himself across the cruel desert floor, and he glances up in agony to see if God is there to save him. But he doesn't see God. He sees a snake, and it's a cute little snake, and it approaches him, and the snake lifts up his little snake head, and he's like, "Hello, Jake. My name is Nathaniel." Jake's exhausted. He's dehydrated. He must be hallucinating, but he greets this snake regardless. And the snake says, "I'll make a deal with you. If you let me bite you, you'll be better. You're not going to be dying. You're going to have no antifreeze in you. You're going to feel completely healed. You're just going to owe me a favor." Jake, assuming this is a hallucination, but knowing he doesn't really have another choice, obliges. The snake bites him, and it happens. He stands up. He feels more hydrated than he did before the accident. He's completely unscathed and in awe and figuring he's either died or found like the fountain of youth in this little snake's bite. And he says, "What is this? How, like, I don't understand. Explain this to me." And the little snake says, "Well, the simple solution is that I'm the guardian of the lever." Jake says, "What's the lever?" And the snake picks up his little cutie rattle tail and he points to the right of him and says, "That lever." And Jake notices a lever protruding from the ground, and the snake explains to him that this lever will undo all of existence if you pull it. If you pull this lever, it'll undo everything that ever was, will be, and is presently. And this snake's job is to guard it. Jake says, "Oh my gosh," he's verklempt. And the snake says, "Now it's time for my favor. If you let me bite you again, you'll become immortal. You too will be a guardian of the lever, and your job is to go out, experience all life has to offer, so you can come back and tell me about it. I'm going to sit here and guard this lever, but I need you to do this for me, if you will." Jake, now trusting his new friend, obliges, and he says, "Okay, since we're friends, I'll do it for you." The snake says, "We're not really friends if you're going to call me Nathaniel. All my close friends call me Nate." He's like, "Okay, really cute." Much time passes. Jake travels over the entire world. He spends countless decades, centuries, learning about humans. He experiences ultimate utopia, the depths of poverty, war. He learns every language, interacts with every type of person, and once he has a fully formed, portfolio of this world and all we have to offer, he returns to the desert, to the lever, and his little friend, the snake, Nathaniel, or Nate. When he returns, Nate is old and sick, and Nate has a tiny snake son. Would you guys like to name the snake son? Call out a name.
Moral P.
Moral P. So this little snake's name is Moral P. And Jake says, "Hello, little snake." They meet. It's very cute, as you can imagine. And Nathaniel says, "Listen, you've come back, and I really wanted to learn about all life had to offer, but I'm not long for this world. My son has to take my place. He must sit here and guard the lever. So what I need you to do, in your infinite knowledge, can you please take my son and show him everything you've seen? Let him experience all life has to offer so he can come back here with a fulfilled sense of what he is and what this world is, so he can guard the lever. He doesn't have to suffer like I did." Jake scoops up little Moral and says, "Of course." And that's what he does. He travels all over the world. He goes to every country, learns every language, snake in tow, teaching him about the riches of utopian society, the devastation of poverty and war. And after many centuries, when the little snake is learned, it's time for them to return home. So Jake goes back to the Sahara Desert, and he rents out a 1995 Jeep Wrangler. It's cat yellow. It's not like his ideal choice, but it's just a rental. And I know what you're thinking. After all this time, a Jeep Wrangler would still exist centuries later. It is a very reliable car if you know how to fix it. So they hop in, and the little snake is in tow. He's in the passenger seat. Jake is driving. Obviously, snakes can't drive. And they're making their way down a long, narrow road in the Sahara Desert. And what do you do when you're going down a long, narrow road? You start to increase your speed. You're going 60 miles an hour, 70, 80, 90. Eventually, they're going 110 miles an hour. And you would figure, in Jake's infinite wisdom, he would remember the sand dune, but he doesn't. He hits the sand dune, and instead of flipping, the Jeep begins careening left and right out of control. Jake is horrified. Little Moral is in the passenger seat, screaming his little head off. It's quite a sight. And as he is increasing in speed even more so, zooming left and right, he sees in the distance his old friend Nathaniel, Nate, laying in the sand waiting for their return. Next to him is the lever that would undo the universe. And as he's traveling, he sees them, and he knows he has to hit one of them. Left, right. He looks at his passenger, looks at his friend, and looks at what could undo everything. And he figures, better Nate than lever. Thank you. Robyn, you're up. Yeah, it's really rough. Yes, okay. It's funny for me.
Hi, I am here again. I haven't been here yet today, but now I am on the stage. So in some way I'm here again, if we're counting yesterday. Just kidding. Okay, so I have a few poems to read. My name's Robyn. As some of you may know, some of you may not. And that's okay. So this one I wrote today because I wanted to write something today. Yes, it's about a run I took this morning. It's called Faced. Today I saw a large catfish swimming upstream and a young buck swimming across it. At first I acknowledged their persistence, how they pull against forces that drag them the other way and climb up weed-covered hills onto a busy road and eventually a field. But then I saw what the catfish was swimming away from, and then I saw what the buck was prancing towards: jagged rocks, highway, death. Today I saw myself in a mirror. There was no light shining on me, so I only saw my sweaty silhouette. I saw myself, and instead of walking away, I stared. I stared and stared until I became just an image of myself reflected towards me, nothing else. I saw gills on my throat and antlers growing from my head. I only saw them in a false way, a confabulation of time passed, because as soon as I twitched, they went away, a reminder of where I am today. Today I saw you from so far away. You were driving a car and hitting everything with your lead foot, and as you were driving, your face turned into so many other ones, and instead of my sister, you became the embodiment of my family, hitting everything in your way. Today I saw a catfish caught between many rocks, and it was floundering and it was dying. Today I saw a young buck with its head bent backwards on the side of the road, and I swear I'll only tell you that when I saw its face, I saw only you. Okay, so this is another poem. It's about a very good friend of mine. It's called An Attempt to Explain a Best Friend. We have sat on fields overlooking the Catskills, picking grass with our hoods up, sucking on raspberry-flavored lollipops, talking about our boyfriends, and that's love. I mean, it's hard to put into words. It's like knowing what flavor of ice cream they'll pick because you wanted the same exact one, and them following you into the bookstore and telling you exactly which books to pick because they just know you'll love them. I've been having a hard time clarifying anything recently, but this cosmic eternal sisterhood of the traveling spittlebug will always speak for itself. It's in everything unsaid, and our hair dyed to be exactly the same color, and all of the hair clips you leave at my apartment that I consequently steal and wear everywhere. I tell you about it like they're not yours, and we laugh in the same way. I say all this now to explain to anybody out there wondering what it's like to have a best friend. To be two girls writing poetry together and laughing endlessly at everything and nothing. To stomp across the city taking videos of each other with the intention of creating a short film, but it's just the act of filming it that really matters. It's a feeling like laying in the sun on warm sand as the waves crash in the distance, feeling, for the first time in so long, relaxed, and knowing that in this moment everything is perfect. I am writing this frantically in an attempt to provide some insight to this bond that so many seem to misunderstand, when it's as easy and as seamless as talking to yourself in the mirror or playing music on a 10-hour-long playlist while you make yourself a fruit salad and inadvertently tapping your feet and shaking your hips to Stevie Wonder or the Sundays. And then maybe you don't eat the fruit salad at all and you just eat a container of chocolate baklava, smoke a joint, and watch Succession. It's crazy, so crazy, like trying to make sense out of why the sun makes our skin so golden, why we always sit so poised with our feet practically broken from the shoes we wear. Like, why do we do that to ourselves? If you can understand that, I swear to you that you can understand what it means to have a best friend. Okay. Okay. This is called, this is another poem. It's, I kind of have like this weird running theme about writing about the guy who owns a laundromat in Rosendale. He looks like Michael Imperioli, so he's kind of like my best friend. So I write about him like once a week at least. This is called Sitting in a Hot Car. I am sitting in my hot car and thinking to myself, why do people bike in circles? Like, literally, why do they bike in a circle rather than on a path? What's the point of that? I am reminded of something that Karl Lagerfeld said, consistency is key, or something like that. Basically, he said it's good to be consistent because then you're predictable and it makes you more of an individual, because people know you for these certain traits that you are consistent about. I think that maybe that's why that woman was biking in a circle in the parking lot this morning. Maybe she just wanted some sense of consistency. Picture this. Sitting in a hot car with window cracked open because there are 3 men right in front of the car smoking and literally chugging Monster Energy drinks at 11 in the morning. You, angelic, beautiful angel girl with white croc boots on, has her legs crossed in her front seat and is tapping away at her keyboard. The 3 men are talking about girls with Adderall addictions and girls who are too skinny and girls with Uzis hiding under a shirt in their front seat and girls who have too much earwax and girls who give them Puss in Boots eyes and girls that say sorry and excuse me too much, just like you do, and girls who sit in their cars typing on a keyboard wearing shorts that ask too much and you realize they're just talking about you and literally staring right at you. And thankfully Michael Imperioli interferes because he says hi to you as you drag your wet laundry out of the wash, and he doesn't say hi to them, and then they leave because they feel ashamed. I assume they feel this way because I want them to, but they probably just left because their laundry was done. 2 men take their place and talk about killing cats and smoking weed they grew in their backyard, but they're also homeless, so I guess it checks out because everywhere is their backyard. One argues with the other that dogs are hard work, and the other is like, nah, it's not that bad. And I see that the 3 men actually didn't leave, and I think to myself, shit, am I dreaming? But no, I'm just at the laundromat, which isn't much different. Okay. And this is my last one. It's also a poem. It's about a dream I had in a really weird morning that I had. It's called Dude. Dude. I left my window open last night and I swear something came into my room as I slept. It was fucking scary. All I know is that I woke up into a dream this morning and I was walking through this old diner from the 1920s and the town was just so depraved that they could only eat at this one diner because the other one housed slaves. And one woman sitting down led me through the building, which was actually kind of a house, and it was unnerving. I don't know why, but it was. And she opened a door into another door and opened that one into another door and opened that one into another door and opened that one into another door that was zebra striped and opened that one into another door and opened that one into a room with a small girl sitting on a bed, and it was herself as a young girl. She stood there with me and asked her questions I can't remember, but then she disappeared and I was there all alone with her. She asked me who I was and I said I'm a friend of your mom. She said that's not my mom, and she said that I have weird eyes and said that I'm a slave too. She rolled around on the floor and I told her to stop sticking her ass up, and she giggled. She said I have an egg just like yours and reached into her backpack and took out an egg covered in leopard print fur, and I said, oh shit, that is a smaller version of my egg. Then the egg began to grow, first into a regular sized egg, then an avocado size, then bigger and bigger until it turned very phallic, and we looked at each other and giggled. And it kept growing until it turned into Christmas lights. I didn't comment. I just plugged them into the wall and screamed. This is when I woke up and felt like something was in the room with me. After I awoke, Stefan told me that there is a freeze watch today, and I said, what? All groggily, and he said, yeah, it's going to be really cold today. It's mid-May, why would it be cold today? It's the spirits that seeped in through my window. They made the whole world cold today. The spirits went in through my computer and added me on LinkedIn. This is when I realized. When I saw your face on the invitations page, you looked for me, not like I was hard to find, but you found me and you love me so much that you wanted to be my friend on LinkedIn. It's so curious. I wonder if that's why I wrote that poem last night. Not about you, but him. At least I know now never to leave my window open at night again. That's it. Thank you. And I guess that's it. I guess I am the last performer. Unless anyone wants to go. Any last questions, concerns? Yes. Anyone want to confess their love to me? I'm right here, right now. Can happen. All right, we'll save it for afterwards. It's okay. All right, well, I guess that's the end of our 9th rendition of White Noise. Thank you, everybody, for coming. No, it was a small crowd today, but still lovely as always. And thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing. And I cannot wait for next time.